there is a secret space program taking place, and they're taking people as children, and unbeknownst to their parents. It's a very complicated procedure, not procedure, but you know what I mean. It's a very complicated technology.
Okay, so I'm not a big, I'm not a very super proficient on all of the history of how it came about. But basically, I mean, to somebody that's never heard this before, it's going to be very hard to swallow. This is a hard ledge to leap off of, to believe. But mankind has been, our recent history of mankind has been in space for about 100 years, perhaps a little bit longer. The Nazis, Germany discovered spaceflight. World War I was about money and power, and World War II was about interstellar flight. And the Germans had discovered it through means of channeling with ET, you know, telepathic communication over great distances with ETs that gave them, you know, schematics to build an interstellar craft. And once that happened, everybody wanted it. War broke out. The Germans lost the territory, but retreated to Antarctica, where they had created a base that had access to ruins and ancient technology from extraterrestrials that had left it there. They've also went out into the solar system and colonized asteroids and planets, Mars, for instance, and colonies were set up. Colony corporations have been set up throughout the solar system. And since then, the United States and most other countries have covertly joined into that. And there are something like 5 space fleets that originated from Earth in our solar system that are manned by humans and certain extraterrestrials. We've traded technology with extraterrestrials, and one of them is a life extension technology, which is, from what I remember, is very common through the cosmos, and one of the very first technologies that gets traded with a species that achieves interstellar flight. So in other words, you know, when you make a spaceship and you go out and make contact with extraterrestrials and find out that they're radically advanced and you want to trade something for them, some goods or whatever it is, one of the first things they'll give you is the 20 and back, or the 20-year tour technology. So it's a life extension technology. It's very widespread. And what becomes of that is abuse. And in my personal experience, I was greatly abused from it. I was taken and basically used as a slave. I was enslaved. And it was free labor for them, for these programs. And I wasn't put through the front door of one of these programs. I was ushered in the back door, the side door of one of these programs personally, just people that had access that wanted to run through some kids for themselves. And that seems to be what's happened. And I've found a great deal of evidence to support the things that I remember after I remember them. And I had basically a 20-year tour is you're taken, they abduct you. And this is a standard abduction story, is that, you know, we saw the lights blinked and then we saw a UFO, and then I lost some time and I woke up a little bit later and I don't know what happened. I was different. I don't know why or how. Yeah, I mean, how many times that fits the bill for, I mean, a large amount of abduction cases.
Oh, yeah.
Well, in my case, well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, for one, I didn't know it was possible to sum it up like you just did. And the whole thing from,
it's impressive.
Yeah. And that was, you guys, whoever's listening to this, that's not even the tip of the iceberg. What actually took place during that time period is mind blowing, is actually mind blowing. And what he's getting ready to get into is even more mind blowing. And it takes a lot to wrap your head. It takes a lot to wrap your head around it. We're not, and that's because we've been suppressed. We're not supposed to remember this stuff. We've been programmed away from it. So if you can be open-minded enough to at least hear this out, hear him out, and at least consider the possibility, that's the best you can do for yourself.
Yeah, we said off air a few minutes ago before we started recording this, is that if you've never heard any of this before and you heard my testimony and you weren't skeptical, it would be weird. It would be weird if you weren't skeptical. Mm-hmm. People that follow this should be skeptical of me. My I didn't want to take it to the grave with me. I didn't want to be dying and think, man, I should have told somebody, because I do remember a lot of things. It's not just a few memories. But so there's a lot of other people like me that have come forward that should be researched, and you can research a lot of things moving forward if this is new information. So, but typically you lose people. You get the 1,000-yard stare when you say that there was a time travel. When you get into the age regression and then the time travel backwards, people go, what? No, Everybody's willing to believe in ETs. Everybody believes that there's life out there. It's because it's so common. It's like a common sense issue. It's like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Billions and trillions of stars, and the only one we're close to has us on it. So that we're batting 100. There's got to be life out there, you know. So everybody believes that it's easy, but when you talk about time travel, that, you know, when you travel great distances of space, you can also travel time as well. You really lose people because we're just not wired to think about time travel. We're really, I mean,
sorry to interject again, but if you listen to William Tompkins' testimony, he talks about a pill that was available that pharmaceutical companies were developing back when he was alive, that you take. It's like an age regression pill. And he talked about this and the companies involved, and he said they're using it. It's just not publicly available. And that's a pill. That's just a pill. This isn't the type of technology, but if they can do it via pill, then obviously they got that from somewhere.
Well, and what I believe, you know, again, if you get a surgery performed on you, let's say you get your kidneys worked on, you go in and get surgery, and then you go through it. When you get done with it, you don't know how to perform kidney surgery. So I experienced it, but I don't know really what the heck happened to me. I don't know how they did it, but I experienced it. And so what a 20-year tour is they can take somebody and do, and I think there's more than one version of it. I think that there's more than one way. Like some people go and because they have a different purpose or a different outcome that they want. Some people go, we've had people talking about going for 60 years. We've had people talking about doing 220s and 40 years. William Tompkins talked about that. So I believe there are different methods to it. I think there's a version that I went through that was involved cloning, human cloning, and a form of consciousness transferal. And a lot of their technology, you know, a lot of the really radical medical technology involves cloning body parts or cloning an entirely new body and then using some technology that can transfer consciousness into that new body. And then you wake up with all your memories and everything and you're perfectly well. But again, I experienced it, but I don't know how it works, kind of thing. So but they take somebody and they can work them for 20 years. I was told that the process that I went through was in 20-year increments for every species, not just humans, but any other species, because after that, they ran the risk of having some sort of mental handicap. In other words, of going insanity. The probability of going more than 20 years at a time was probable of causing a mental problem. I've also talked to other insiders that said there are natural reasons for the time travel to go in 20-year increments. So there are more than one factor, but basically they can work you for 20 years. Like you said, that age regression pill put you back in your body that you saw, it put you back in your original body that's 20 years younger, put you back in time and return you to the spot of the abduction 15 to 30 minutes later. So people get some sort of contact, they see an ET or a craft, they lose consciousness, they wake up 30 minutes later, they're slightly different, they have no memory of what happened, and they could have worked for 20 years and gone to other star systems and done many other things and been reprogrammed with mind control. There are radical technologies and done many other things and then put back in their organic life. And then the timeline of Earth isn't affected at all. They're just put back and then let go. Right? You know what I mean? Like tagging a fish and putting it back in the water, basically. And they had a fish for 20 years to do whatever they want. I mean, I'm using metaphor, but that is also a very hard pill to swallow, but that's exactly how I experienced it. I was taken at 10 years old. I was taken and I was worked through several black programs. I was privately owned in the beginning. I did six or 7 years on Earth, and I went from black program to black program, privately owned, not particularly by the government, but I was owned by individuals as a slave. And I had different purposes. And whenever I lost the ability to be effective at what I was doing, they would retrain me or test me and put me into something else. And then after that, I was sold off to the military, the secret military, space program military, into the solar system corporations, colony corporations. And I went to Mars Colony Corp and was a support soldier for a short time, and that program was canceled. And I was sold off to the Ceres Colony Corporation, which is the small planetoid Ceres that's in between Mars and the asteroid belt. And I lived there for about a decade, and I worked on interstellar crafts. The first one, I was a ship maintenance. on an interstellar craft, and then that ship was decommissioned, and I was promoted to cargo engineer on an interstellar trade ship. And we went all over the galaxy and to other galaxies, trading with extraterrestrials, other races for goods for technology was our prime mission. That's what I did. At the end, I was put back. I was taken back to the moon, went through a long procedure and put back, and I woke up the next morning back in 1982, feeling like I had been gone for 20 years, and I didn't know my way. I barely could recognize my room. I didn't know the toys that I had anymore. I went to school. I forgot where the bathroom was that day, and I was a changed person ever after. And I had no memory. Those memories were deleted. And there are other reasons. I guess I need to make a schematic on why I think it was cloning involved. But basically, I was taken, and I woke up, and I had no memory of mom and dad and my family. No, those memories are gone.
Really?
Lived the 20 years, got put back, had all those memories of 20 years of things. I had relationships, friends, I had a career. Put back, and then all of a sudden I had all those memories back of mom and dad and my life, and I had no memories of the 20 years.
Wow.
Well,
That's, yeah.
So that was a lot.